Hey guys, Terrence here again with Let's Talk Reef. Oh man, we got a great show today. It's been a couple of weeks since you guys have seen me. We had to do it on a Thursday, so apologize to any of you that did not have a plan for a Neptune system show on Thursday. It's all Ryan's fault. We're going to get to Ryan here in a minute from BRS, but we are kicking off a brand new 2020. There's going to be lots of great stuff this year. First and foremost, all the trade shows that are going to be coming up, all the Reefapaloozas, all the small frag swaps, of course MACNA later in the year. We'll be bringing it all to you, giving you all the highlights here on Let's Talk Reef, as well as having some great guests for 2020. I'm super excited about it, and kicking off things right now with a great announcement with Ryan from Bulk Reef Supply. So let me try to kick him on here and say hi and get this thing started. Ryan, how's it going, man?
Hi. Boom, man, awesome. I already did an hour live already today, so I'm warmed up and ready to go.
All right. And you're at home.
So I'm at home now. Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome. So I see this is the basement of your house?
Yes, there will be a tank here very soon. I don't know. Like, the riggers are coming tomorrow to quote me. So hopefully we'll have the tank like next week, Apex week after.
I don't know who. I mean, you have to be under a rock if you haven't heard about the BRS 360 that's going into Ryan's house. I think this is going to be bigger than the 160 in terms of really bringing it. He's got a fish room. He's not going to have guys helping him as much. He's going to have to do it on his own. Less secrets.
I'm going to train my kids.
And it's for the kids.
Train my kids to clean the glass. That's what I got to do.
But it's a 360 gallon. You got a nice fish room behind it, right? And we haven't seen any episodes in a while. When are we going to start seeing episodes again?
Well, we did the live today and explained kind of where that is. The tank showed up, the stand showed up, the sump showed up. They're going to bring it in the back door here pretty soon, hopefully. And I think we're going to start like end of February. You're going to start to see it really rolling out again.
Wow, it's an experience seeing one of those big tanks come into your house. Are you a little worried?
I have no idea. I mean, we keep joking about it, but I live on a hill. It's a foot of snow, 2 inches of ice on the top right now.
Oh, no.
So how they're going to carry a 1,000-pound tank in, I have no idea. But we'll find out.
Well, you're lucky because you're having somebody else do it. I actually did it with a bunch of friends and buddies here from work and everything, and it's definitely a scary thing. Are they going to have to take anything apart on the house? That often happens.
The door's coming out. The fence has got to somehow come out. I was going to make my friends do it, but I like them more than apparently you like yours. I thought about it. I'm like, man, if this falls, it's going to kill somebody, man. So I like, let's have the pros do it.
So are you sending Melissa on vacation while this happens?
I should, man. They were doing the water today. Like, there's a new RO system in the house, like a whole house RO today to accommodate the terrible water that's here. Nope, she's going to sit through. She's going to tough it out. You know?
Cool.
We got tile in, we're plugging away one step at a time.
All right, well, let's get right to what we're going to talk about here today, because I know you've got a kid to put in the bathtub, so you've got a hard out here pretty soon. Two kids to put in the bathtub, and so you're kind of concerned about time. But you know, I remember about 2 months ago or so, people probably who are watching remember that. You put out a question out on Facebook on the Ask BRS TV about monitoring and whatnot. Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know. You know, we just have all these organic conversations about like why people use things and how do we get people to, be successful longer. And, for me, there's hurdles in the beginning. It's how to get people past that 1 year mark, how do you get them past now the 3 and 4 year mark, because there's different types of failures that happen. And like each one of those steps, beginning it might be algae. In the end, it's your broken heater.
Yeah.
Like some of the inevitable stuff.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so for us, man, like I just thought about it for a second, and like you got an apex, and there's a couple of hurdles you got to get over with an apex. Like, hey, I got to understand what it is and how it does. And if I just look at the box and the shelf, I'm not really sure, right? But there's so many things you start digging into it, and then actually it turns into the opposite thing. Like, oh man, well it's got all this stuff. Like, can I actually do it? I don't know. And
there's a lot of apprehension, right? There's a lot of apprehension around the apex and about getting things set up. That's for sure. I know that. It's always been the case, and we get better and better, but it's still there.
Well, now with the tasks and stuff, I don't know. I think it's super easy. But like at the same time, you're buying this tool, and you're not sure if you can use it. And then after that, man, it's $500 to $800. Like this is another barrier.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about it in terms of, you know, if you had infinite dollars, man, buy the $800 Apex, man, for sure, right? Like I know I'm going to be able to use it. I'm going to figure it out, and it's got all the features I want, has everything I want. However, man, if we can scale it down just a little bit, and I'm thinking about people's success, right? And like it was so obvious once I asked the question on the Facebook group, it's if I could identify when temperature is off, when water level is off, and when the pH is off, will I have solved 80% of the reasons that a tank will fail from equipment failure? And that's kind of those things that happen in year 2 to 6, like everything breaks between at least once, right? And success means catching it. And so, yeah, I can have a controller, which is awesome because it will, heater 1 fails, it turns on heater 2. Return pump 1 fails, it cranks up heater, or return pump 2, or notifies me. Controller is awesome when I can do things about the actual problem, and then I'm on vacation or whatnot too. But, for everybody else, 80% of the time, I'm within 1 hour of my tank. Boss, I gotta go. My tank is flooding, it's overheating or whatever, man. I'll be back. I'll work 2 extra hours.
Biggest slice of the problem is just knowing something's happening, right? I mean, it's great to have something else help you manage the problem with, if you have a controller or something like that, but just knowing that you have a problem is the first hurdle.
Even in your house.
Yeah.
When you're there.
Yeah.
How do you know it's overheating?
Yeah.
Actually, in my first tank, man, the heater had probably been broken. I started to lose stuff, and the heater had broke. It was like a Eheim one, and actually when I took it out, it was like shooting sparks and stuff out of it, like when the seals went. Right. And so, but I was like, how long had this tank been cold? It could have been weeks, man. How would I know? I wasn't putting my hand in it, and I finally did a water change on it, and boom, it's cold. Now I know.
Right.
The stuff was dying is how I found out. Well, with something like an Apex monitor, in this case, I'd know, probably within 15 minutes of when the heater turned off and stopped working.
So you put this back to the comments. So you put this comment out on Facebook. What was the response from people?
Well, it was blew me away. So I asked, hey, would you like to buy, would you like to have a full blown controller? $500, $800. Would I buy one that was would tell me when those 3 things happened? Right. And it was $250, or I don't need a controller at all, or monitor. I'll monitor my own tank. I was stunned. The people that wanted to monitor their own tank, 1 or 2% or something.
Right.
I was not even on the board. 80% said I'd buy the $250 thing and have it monitor and tell me the moment, and I'll just go handle it myself. 20% said I'm a control freak. I want to control the whole thing.
Right.
And after I thought about it, I'm like, that sounds about right. The amount of people that the breakdown of I want that level of control because I'm super, super into this.
And of course, we had one of those Ryan Terrence conversations after this thing went on Facebook. It was Ryan calling me up like he often does, or I call him up and it's like, Terrence, I did this thing and we need to talk about this because I think there's something there. And I'm like, yeah, maybe there is, maybe there's not. It's one of these things, where you don't know until you have something that you can actually offer to somebody to see whether or not it's what they really want, right? It's got the features that they want and it's available. So?
Yeah. So 912 people voted, I would like to see one of these things come to life, which is by almost 5 to 1. So, here's the thing. And if you really think about it, the first thing somebody says is well, I don't really need to know pH, whatever, right? It's 7.8, 8.3. Well, no, you're wrong. In fact, you do. It's because what it is telling you about chemistry. It's telling you that my 2-part overdosed. It's telling
that's a big deal.
Kalkwasser overdosed. It's telling you my calcium reactor's jacked. It's telling you almost every additive you could do related to calcium alkalinity. If something went wrong with it, the pump gets stuck on. Off,
well, that's the thing. Now, I think a vast majority of people who want to keep a reef now are using some form of automated dosing. Whether it's an inexpensive BRS doser that you've shown on a timer clock, or a 4-port product that's out there for dosing. This is the way it's kind of done now in 2020, right? But things go wrong. You set things up wrong. You set the timer wrong. all sorts of things go wrong with that, the pH is what's going to tell you that something's gone wrong.
Yeah, being 7.8, 7.9, that's not the point, really.
Right.
I mean, it's nice to know that kind of stuff, and you can perfect. It's about telling you when a major component of the system went wrong, and that's what the pH is going to do. Water level, actually, talking to you earlier today, you had a really good insight on this one for me, which is I just didn't think about. So the new special edition here, comes with.
We haven't even talked about it yet. Look, he's already jumping ahead. Well, so Ryan, so the key here is that we've got this new special edition because what happened? Let me pull up a graphic here. So after Ryan and I talked about this, basically the gears start turning of, hey, we've got to have something that warns people about the temperature, the pH. It's not going to be controlled. It's got to be in the right price range. And oh, by the way, it needs to have a level monitor on it as well, because with a level monitor, you're going to be able to, know when you're, auto top off if you happen to have a third-party auto top off overflows. If it doesn't come on, it's going to go dry. And then the other thing I just told you, which you were going to come to, was what other thing can you tell?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, this one caught me off guard, man. Return pump failed.
Yep.
I didn't even really think about that. Like one of those things is like which will fail for sure. A snail is going to crawl in it, algae, or just wears out, or runs dry, or whatever. It'll fail on a long enough timeline, and the water level will drop if that thing failed, or go up rather if it fails. In either case. So, like, I know my water level, I know my auto top off failed, I know that my external pump is leaking, I know that my plumbing's leaking, I know that my return pump failed. All kinds of things. Like in any case, if the water level is outside of the range it's supposed to be, I want to go do something about it. Like it's either going to hurt my house or it's going to hurt my tank, and I will leave work, wake up, or crawl from my go from my favorite show in my living room that I didn't even know this was happening in my den, or whatnot, because my phone just told me that I need to go do something.
Right, right. So the thing is, we put this together. So it's the Bulk Reef Supply Special Edition. It has those features in it. We set the price at that $250 price point to see what would happen. And then the third thing that we did was recently the entire Apex setup in the app. We had a new version of the app released, and the setup got way easier on it. I'm going to show you and the viewers that in a second here. But additionally, for the most part, when you were going to want to do one of these, float switches and whatnot, it required a little bit of programming, right? Or, running a task, or there was a few steps that you had to do. And so what we did with this special edition for Bulk Reef Supply is we set that up ahead of time already in it. So basically when the customer gets it, all they do is plug it in, and it's already pre-programmed to give them an alert. So they don't have to do anything in that regard.
So I'm going to just say right here. So anybody who's watching here, the thing that was most important to me was not just the float, plugs in, right? It's the whole thing. I want to be able to say to somebody, if you want to monitor all of these things, you don't have to do anything. If you can write your name into a field and put your email into a field, you can run this thing. That's it. That's all you're going to have to do. Set it up. It's already pre-programmed to appropriate pH range, already programmed to an appropriate temperature range, and already the water levels are set up, and you can just move the floats up and down to be able to hit where you want it to be. Meaning you don't have to do anything. You just plug it in, and it will now give you real-time results of your tank and tell you when something is wrong. And that is the biggest thing for me to get from that 2 years or even 1 year to 5, and definitely beyond that.
So let me go over everything that's in the box here. I'm on this screen. So the first thing is the Apex EL. This is the same exact Apex EL base unit that you would get with the Apex EL system that retails for $500. The difference is that it is pre-programmed a little bit differently in that it has those two switches that are set up already with the alarms. In addition to that, you get a pH probe with it. Now, when you buy the Apex EL system, the $500 system, it is a slightly better pH probe than the one in here because we have to hit a price point here, guys. So this is the standard grade pH probe, which is a great pH probe, and then you get the temperature probe here. and you get a power supply, because obviously the power on the Apex EL system comes from the Energy Bar 832, which we don't have here, and so you have a power supply that comes with it. And I believe you also get the calibration solutions and whatnot. And one of the things too, Ryan, that a lot of people don't always understand is even just out of the box, the pH probe, if you drop it in, is going to be good enough to get your trending, good enough to get basic numbers out of, and you don't have to go right into calibrating it to get useful information out of a pH probe.
Well, even though with your task function, man,
yes,
as long as somebody showed you where it was,
yeah,
anybody can do that.
Yes.
Like, it's so simple. Yeah. So that's the thing, man, for me. And one of the things we didn't talk about actually is the temp, component. And people think about this obviously as like your heater failed, right? But it could be that, it's a hot day. It could be that your fan failed, your chiller failed. It could be somebody in the house thought it'd be clever to turn the heat down or turn it up. Or
one of the common things that happens is people steal people's air conditionings, if you can believe that. They actually steal your air conditioners. It's
actually, you know what? They did that at the old warehouse we were at. They were stealing copper up the roof. Yeah, so you just don't know. And so there's all kinds of things beyond just your heater failing. So that's the end here, right? So if I know that I covered temperature in my tank because of, copper thieves or my heater or a thermostat or somebody in the house bumped it or my furnace failed, I'm covering all my additive solutions. I'm covering my water levels, my return pump, leaks, all kinds of this stuff. I've definitely 80-20'd this tank. And I'm also 80-20 in the fact that like 80% of the time, I am an hour away from my tank or I'm home. So I've 80-20 to 80-20 here. And, I've done it at $250, man. And like, I don't know. I think it's pretty incredible. And not only that, but like, I don't know if you're ready to talk about this one or if you want to walk through the setup of it, but like the ecosphere that you kind of enter into at that point as well.
Yeah. So one more thing to talk about on this, on the switch bracket here, just so you guys know, because I actually put, I think, quite a bit of thought in coming up with what people would want, what I would want in a switch bracket. It's not something that comes from Neptune Systems, though. It's actually, this is a special project that we've done. And by the way, the quantities on these are limited, and it is kind of a test for us to do. But this particular bracket came from Harry's Aquatics. Harry makes a lot of cool gadgets. Some of you guys might have seen his switch boxes that he does that plug into the Apex. And I did have a question out here that said, what does it plug into? Well, on the right in here on the Apex, you'll see that there is, let's see if I can get the poop right over here, there is the 6 switch input that it goes into. And then there's a mini DIN plug, and it just plugs right into there. And you're good to go.
Big thank you to Harry, by the way.
Yeah, so
Harry really kind of made this happen. So
yeah, he totally made it happen. We actually went through a number of revisions. And the switches that we use are actually the same exact ones that BRS sells on their site, that are the highest rated switches that BRS sells. Great longevity on them. They're not the cheapo ones, directly out of China that, cost 38 cents. They actually cost a lot more than that. This is adjustable, so these things, they're friction fit. They go up and down, okay? This has a bracket that you can basically put on the edge of your sump to hold it, and the whole thing can go up and down in that bracket. This piece alone is, in my opinion, one of the nicest level sensor brackets that you can find out there on the market right now, compared to, so many of them that I've seen that you got to bend something, or they're, you've seen them, Ryan.
Yeah, I was actually, when it exceeded expectations when you sent it to me. Like just especially for a prototype of, hey, we're going to send out 150 of these. And so I think it's important to let everybody know this is a special edition. It may never exist again. So we're going to try it out, see what people think. Your feedback, I think, to everybody on the Facebook group, as well as directly to Neptune here. Let them know whether or not you like it, or you're engaged in it and it makes sense. Because when do you think the next 150 will be, if ever?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we don't know, because this is really we saw the Facebook post from you. We talked to you. We said, okay, you are super passionate about doing this for your customers. Okay, we want something that people want too. I mean, we want to satisfy the demand, the stuff that people want. But it's not necessarily something we were going to just dive all the way into and do. So by doing this, we're going to get feedback from you and from all of your customers. Those customers are going to feedback stuff to us directly. We're going to find out, yeah, it's got everything I want. Yeah, no, it's not. I'd really like not to have float switches. I'd like to have optical switches, maybe. I don't know. But rather than wait, we decided we were going to, put this together and do what it takes to get it out there and see what the feedback is.
So it's like 3-4 months if you aren't part of the original.
You're not going to corner me on anything, so.
All right. Well, I just wanted to get out there. It'll probably be a while. If you're not part of the first 150, there's going to be a wait in between here and the next batch of them. So if you're interested, man, I would bite.
Absolutely. If you're interested, pick it up. And I think we had a couple of questions more in here, too. Okay, one of the questions that were in here, I don't need to put it on the screen necessarily, is, will this work with the energy bars? It absolutely will work with all of the energy bars. The Energy Bar 832, of course. And then what's one of the really neat things, too, Ryan, again, if you're talking about reef keeping on a budget, right, you can get an Energy Bar 4 for $120. And plug it right into this and have 4 controllable outlets. So that means basically now you can have a heater control. You could do even the dosing with the BRS dosers. There's all sorts of things that you could do.
Well, that's the progression of it, right? So I want an 80-20 in my system, meaning I understand I'll be around it 80% of the time or be within an hour of it. Well, at some point, not good enough. I want to take the hypercritical things and put them on control and turn that heater off if it ever gets too hot, right? Or it gets stuck on. I want that control. So you can put that thing on there, and usually that comes with the investment in the tank. Like I look at the tank and realize how much coral I have in here and how devastating it would be if these monstrous colonies died, right? So I'll start to invest. But actually, the thing that's cool for me, I think people jump right to those outlets. Okay, so how do I get into the outlets thing and get full control? But for me, man, it's no, wait. I actually just want monitoring still. I'm still okay with it. I'd really like the simplicity of monitoring, but I would like a Trident, which means I'm monitoring my alkalinity, my magnesium, and calcium easy. I don't need now the full Apex for that. I can do it with this one.
And by the way, let me stop you right there. Can I stop you for 1 second there?
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about that is that there is this myth, I think, going around that it's super expensive to get into the Trident, right? It's like a $2,000 entry point, right? Well, now with this, for those people that get this, I mean, you're into the Trident and you're now monitoring temperature, pH, okay, your high and low, all three, the calcium, magnesium, and the alkalinity, and you're in $850. I mean,
yeah, a total different world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I can be into monitoring my tank. And so, there's the control freak spectrum, which I probably belong in. But I totally understand that I might not be, part of the majority, right? A lot of people just want to be able to look at my phone and let me know when calcium, alkalinity, magnesium is way out of control. And I just don't want to monitor all those or do the actual test kits all the time.
Right.
But also auto water changes. You can plug a dose into this thing now. I don't have to have the full Apex and all the control. I can just plug a dose in this thing and do an auto water change. I can use the same dose to do my 2-part. I can use the AFS. I can do the auto water feeder. I know you guys are always working on stuff. So you got the core pump, so my return pump, I can get all the added features from that. The skimmer somewhere is going to come.
You know what one you forgot?
All kinds of things.
You know what one you forgot? The biggest one for the spouse. And that's monitoring still, which is the leak detection kit. It's if you ruin your wife's floors, I mean, that's it. Okay, sorry, the aquarium's in the garage. And so for $150, you can add to this and get leak detection as well. So I think it is a nice starter in it, and we'll see how people take to it.
You can add so many things to it, and that's where it was really cool for me because it allows you to think about it in a totally different way. I can think about this as I need to control everything, and if it's not controlled, then it's not worth it. Or I can think about I just want to know.
Right.
I just want to know, and I want to actually go into this ecosphere of places producing a lot of really cool products that do unique things that I wouldn't be able to do without this thing. But I would buy this thing anyway. All the rest of it's just actually, icing on the cake.
Right. Let's see here. Trying to see if I've got any other interesting questions here. Somebody asked about a Eurobrace bracket, of course. We know about that because your new tank is Eurobraced, right?
It is.
And most sumps are Eurobraced, or a lot of them are. I won't say most, but the most popular tanks right now are like the Red Sea, Water Box, those kind. And this particular bracket will work perfect on those because we've tried it on a number of them here in the office. It'll actually work in the back of an all-in-one too, which is something a lot of people have.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's see.
In fact, that's the first tank that is going to go on. I was going to shoot a little video about, we did that 5-minute, series on setting up a tank, and on a 40 breeder or a E170, I just I'll put a controller on anything, but in my own house, if I just being real and I had a 40 breeder and I'm kind of in the early stages of reefing, I'm thinking about a controller, but I'm not buying it. But I'll buy the monitor, man, for sure, right? And so this little bracket would work perfect on that kind of thing.
So I have, this is interesting here. Elliot Haddad says, can't wait to get my tank going so I can buy this. Well, Elliot, if you want one, you're probably going to have to go buy it before you get the tank if you want this particular BRS edition, because they'll probably be gone, or it quite likely will be gone by that time. Somebody asked if Harry had a website. Harry doesn't have a website. Harry, by the way, is a young gentleman that I think he goes to college and does all this stuff on the side, does the 3D printing. I mean, look at this thing. It's so cool. He made it look like a Neptune Systems module box, and it's got like the launch code switches on it for the emergency switches, and he does these things. And I love, that he does it. He's super energized about all the 3D stuff that he prints and sells to people. He has mounts for different pieces of equipment and whatnot. And I'm actually concerned that this is going to blow up for him. He's not going to know what to do after seeing these switch mounts and whatnot. So you may have to help him with that.
So maybe you could help everybody, show everybody, you're sitting here wondering how I could actually set one of these up. Am I capable of it? I know you shot some video of it. Maybe walk people through it. Let's
do that. Let's throw this on. So this is the start of what you'll do. You'll get the app out of the App Store for your phone. You'll run it. You'll put your email address into the app. You'll put your name into the app. This is getting you set up on Apex Fusion, our cloud service, is what it's happening first, okay? You tell it where you're located. Then you go in and pick your username and password that you want to use. And then, of course, there's some terms and conditions that you have to agree to. Sorry. And then it's going to create your account. Then you basically log into your Apex Fusion account right there in the app. And as soon as you do, it's going to come up and say, hey, you don't have any linked Apexes yet. Do you want to link an Apex? So you say, yeah, I want to link an Apex. So you give your aquarium a name. You tell it how much water volume it has. This is some information that we might use later on. Then you say, I'm going to launch it for the EL. I'm going to connect to Wi-Fi. That's how I'm going to do it, not wired. Now there's a video that shows you to basically plug it in and turn it on. Obviously this one is for the full Apex, but with the special edition there's a power supply that you plug in. Then you scan the label. It's going to get the serial number off the label and find your Apex out out on the network that you have. It's going to tell you if you want to join to that Apex. And then it's going to find your Wi-Fi network and tell you, hey, we need to connect your Apex to your Wi-Fi network, so give us your Wi-Fi network and password. You've gone through this probably before in other types of products you've bought. Then you basically join Apex Fusion, great. It gives you a couple of messages, and then when you're done, you get to the dashboard. And as soon as you get to the dashboard with the Apex EL BRS edition, even the float switches are already pre-configured. You're already going to get alerts. I'm going to mess this up because I don't remember exactly where they are. Tell me where they are, Vincent. Do you remember? 78 and 78 and a half, or I can't remember. They're on the web page for the product. Same thing for the pH level. All those alerts are already preset and ready to go.
You can go change them if you want.
Yeah.
But what you just described there, anybody capable of setting up an aquarium could walk through those 3 minutes and do this. Knowledge and ability is no longer a barrier. You can just quickly see, oh yeah, I can do this.
You cannot believe. It's hard to believe how far we've come over the years, and you've been here with us along the way, so you can really see the evolution. But I can tell you right now the stuff that our customers are going to see over the next 12 and 18 months are going to blow their mind. And I mean, even in the user interface change and making the paradigm even that much easier to use, while still not leaving, this is the tough part, still not leaving behind the configurability and the ability for you to grow into being a true control freak and having all of those capabilities, in the system. And so we've got some stuff that we're putting together right now on our team and expanding our software team to give you some of the best, easiest to use features you can imagine.
Yeah. Personally, I'm working on a little plan here to do some of you may have watched us do a series of videos many years ago about how to set up your Apex. I'd like to repeat those things, bring it up to date. So hopefully we'll do that in 2020. And for me, if you want to do all that complex stuff, you want to do all the really fancy maneuvers and whatever, we'll show you how to do that in really easy 5-minute chunks. So it's easy to digest.
Yeah, it's like, I've got a water container, and I want to stop my automatic water change when the water container gets empty. How do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's 5 minutes how you do that. That kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, super, super easy task, man. You just figure out how to do it. And part of it for me, if I was shopping for this thing, everybody's told me I would like one or value from it or whatever. But can I do it? And so if I can go watch how people actually do this in a way that is accurate and precise and easy to follow, my confidence level of my ability to run this thing goes way, way, way up, right? It makes it easier for me to,
Let's recap, Ryan, what is in the kit, because, we've got people who join late and whatnot and want to know. Okay. So let me see if I can find my mouse here and get back to this product shot right here. Okay, so the Apex EL monitoring, right? Bulk Reef Supply Edition comes with the Apex EL base unit, which is the standard Apex EL base unit, with a little bit of special programming to set your alerts up automatically for you out of the box. It comes with a pH probe, a standard grade pH probe right here that you're familiar with. It comes with the temperature probe, and it comes with this special adjustable dual float bracket that plugs right into the switch inputs on the Apex with nothing else to configure. You just plug in the mini DIN 8 port and it's ready to go. Obviously you need a power supply to make this work, so we include the power supply as well. And that's pretty much it. And you go out to the App Store, you download the app, you install the app, and run through the setup like I showed it already. And that's it, man.
Yeah, I can't remember what my team had called this thing earlier. I had a name for it. I'm like, no, he's got to change it.
Well, we called it internally, just so you know, because it's kind of funny, we called it internally the Elmo. And it's because it's the Apex EL monitor only, right? And so it's been known around here as the Elmo.
So I had him change it to the Apex monitor. I think that's what it's called on our site now. And it's because that's what it is. It's a monitor. It's not a controller today, but it can be tomorrow.
A couple of questions here. So these are really pertinent questions. Hanif says, mini DIN 8 port, no junction box needed. That's right, Hanif. What we've done is eliminated the need for you to wire up with wires into the breakout box, these float switches. You just plug it straight in. Now, obviously, you sacrifice 4 of the switch inputs because you're plugging the mini DIN directly in. But what I told Harry to do that I think would be cool is he makes one of these with 4 buttons, and you basically plug the switch, the switch assembly that we have in here into the side of the box, and then the box plugs into your Apex. And now you get to use all 6 of them. So I don't know if he's going to do that or not, but that's what I recommended to him as an accessory that he could sell. We'll see if he does it. So that's one of the questions. The other question we had from Derek Picker, can you adjust the thresholds, pH, and temperature? Of course, it's just like any other Apex, right? So if you want to go in there, you can just adjust those. It's pretty simple to do. No tough one there. Jay Fuchs says, why not include a salinity probe? Well, the Apex EL base unit doesn't have salinity connection anyway, so it would not work. But again, the purpose of us doing this is to make an affordable monitoring-only solution that gets you the information that you need to save your tank for most things that are going to take it out. And the salinity probe's not part of that kind of equation for most people.
You could add one on your own, right?
PM2.
At a later date. Yep, add a PM2, and you could have salinity. But a big piece of it, I'm going to reiterate here for me, is that it needs to be affordable. You know, it needs to be in
Right.
a price range where like monitor makes sense, and you start piling in all this stuff, and all of a sudden it doesn't make sense anymore. So,
Yeah.
But you have the option to add that at any time.
Yep. Let me see if I got a couple more questions, and I'm going to let you go so you can go, do the father in the bath thing. Okay.
Yes, it's bath time here at the Bachelor household. I got to do both of them tonight. So.
Yeah, I know. I remember what that's like. It's super fun, and it's not a chore. It's actually an enjoyable thing that you look forward to. I know that from my parenting, so I know what you're talking about. Okay.
And then book time.
Let's see here. Somebody's like, "Hey, I missed the first 30 minutes. What did I miss?" It's like, dude, I did it twice, so I guess you're gonna have to watch it back. Let's see. I'm gonna get to the end, and if we don't have any more questions, we're gonna call it. Harry Singer's getting a lot of shout-outs, though, so people are loving Harry.
Bravo, Harry.
There's always a few fun ones. Don Quixote asks, can the EL run for president? And somebody else is looking for their 6-month reagents. So that's probably going to wrap it up. I love having you on here, Ryan. I want to have you back on another time where we can talk more fish about other subjects other than this, especially as you get the...
Big thank you.
Yeah.
For me, actually, because for me, one of my favorite things to do is work with the community to find out the things that are of value, and then like when the miracle comes along that the vendors actually want to work with us as well to help make those dreams or visions come true. Not all of them are willing to do that. So a big thank you to you and Kurt and the rest of the team over there that are willing to listen to the reefers, the 912 of them in the Ask Beers TV Facebook group that said, hey, man, I would love to see this and make it real. Because a lot of people just don't do that in our industry, and it just means a lot to me. So thank you.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. I mean, we want to build stuff that people want. So we'll see. You got the 912 people. We'll see what happens with it. And, like I said to you, it's like taking your wallet out, though, is a whole nother world, right?
Yeah, it is. So, I don't know. I'm super excited to see what happens.
I am too.
And I hope that it works out so well that we see it, come to fruition for everybody pretty soon.
Really soon.
Yes,
yeah.
very soon.
All right, Ryan, man, well, take it easy. And, again, I want to have you back when we can just talk fish. You can do that, right?
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right.